Hey everybody, Heather here. So I had a request to do an alternate coloring for the May 2013 watercoloring card kit with Copic markers, so that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to recolor this cute Fistful of Flowers image by Whimsy Stamps with Copic markers. I've already stamped my image on Nina 80-pound solar white cardstock with Memento Tuxedo black ink, so let's color. Okay, so I'm going to start out by outlining my image, and I'm going to use B triple zero, B quadruple zero, and my colorless blender, and I'm going to start with B quadruple zero, and I'm going to say the sun's going to be coming from this way, over here shining on her a little bit, kind of, I don't know, let's do so it kind of like, her face is kind of tipped up, so I want it to be more shiny over here. So I'm going to start with my B quadruple zero on this side of her body, and then because I want it to be darker over here, so I'm just going to very lightly make a small line right next to her. I'm going to go all the way around, and this little space right here, you can just go ahead and fill that in if you wanted. So it's such a small area, we don't have to worry about it. We'll go around our leaves and around our flowers. A little spot right there, right next to her arm. There's a little, or the flower stem that's actually background. And I'm going to go up here to the top of this, just right. Let's say we go up here to this little whoop-de-doo she's got in the top of her head where it's her hair is poking out. Okay, and then I'm going to take my B quadruple zero, and I'm going to lightly brush over that and out here into the background. So I'm just going to lay my pen down on top of my B triple zero, and I'm just going to pull my pen away from her body out here into the background. And this works best if your pen is wet. So if your pen's drying out and you need to refill it, it'll work a lot better if it's full or just not empty. We're going to go all the way around until we come back up here towards her head. Okay, and for this side, we're just going to go ahead and outline it like we did the other side with this marker. I'm just going to quickly go all the way around her. Clear up to the top. Okay, and then when I get clear back up to the top, I'm going to go grab my colorless blender, and I'm going to do the same thing over here that I did before. I'm just going to start here at the edge of her body, and it doesn't matter because we haven't colored her yet, so it doesn't matter if you touch her. And I'm just going to pull out here past both colors. This works perfect because you haven't colored her yet, so it doesn't matter if you touch her. And some of these places I accidentally got my blue on my person, so I'm just pushing it away, and it's actually erasing it as I go all the way around. And again, this will work best if your colorless blender is full. I'm going to go back over that a second time. And then I actually, after I got done, I took my Ranger Tumbled Glass Distress Ink and I used my cloud template, and you can make some clouds out here in the background. So now let's go do her skin, and for that I'm going to use E21, E00, E000. For the cheeks I'm going to use R20 and R30. This is just my go-to skin tone. There are a few others listed over on the blog, and I'll put a little pop-up, or there is a link down in the description. You can go over to the blog, and under Copic skin tones on the labels on the left-hand side of the bar, of the blog sidebar, there's a whole bunch of skin tones that you could try out if you would like. So let's do our skin, and I think that I will start down here at her foot. And I'm going to start with my E21 because I always color dark to light. That's just my personal preference. And I'm going to add my shadows first. So I'm going to go underneath of her jeans. And then I'm going to go along the bottom of her foot and get a little bit on each one of these cute little toes. And then I'm going to grab my E00. And I lay my pin down on top of my E21. And I pull it out to the white. So like here, I'm flicking down towards her toes. Smooth that line out. Alright, and then we're going to go up here and we're going to do her hands. So again, I've grabbed my E21 first. And so I'm going to go right next to her sleeve. Do the underside of her hand, and the little fingers here are closed in around the stem, so they're coming back towards her hand. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to get the bottom of each of the little fingers, just a tiny bit. And then over here, we're going to do right next to the leaf, and I'm going to do the back of the hand and around this side, and then get each of her little fingers. Oops, I didn't go far enough up. And her little thumb is poking out up here, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little dab of that to the back side. Alright, and then I'm going to grab E00, and we're going to brush over the top of our 21 and flick it out towards our white. We're just pulling that line away and out here and feathering it out. Okay, and the same for this side. Just put your pin down on top of your 21 and flick out towards your white. That. Then we're going to go up here and we'll do her face. So again, I've grabbed E21. And I'm going to start right here at her hair. And kind of brush a little bit up there in between her bangs right there, just a little bit. And I'm just going to work my way around over here to the other side. I'm going to go right down here by her chin. And I'm going to get inside of her ear. And let's do this neck. She's got a little bit of her neck showing. Let's do that, like that. And then she's got her little nose right here. I'm going to get just a little bit on each nostril. And then I'm going to give her a little bit of definition right here on her nose. So I'm just going to draw a little line like that. And then I'm going to go with my E00. And again, you're going to lay down on top of your 21 and pull away from your line out here into your white. A little bit in her ear. And work my way all the way around. Make sure to get her neck here. Okay, then I'm going to grab my E000. I'm going to fill in the top part of her little ear here. And then I'm going to flick it out into my white. So I've touched down on my previous color, which is E000 or E00. And I'm just feathering out here into my white. And I don't care that it's looking a little blotchy still. I'm just going to leave it like that. And I'm going to do the cheeks. So I've grabbed my R20 and I'm going to give her a couple of little circles. So right here, right there. I think I'll make this one just a little bit bigger. And then I've grabbed my R30 and I'm just going to lightly touch down on the edge and pull away from my circle, making it just a little bit bigger and feathering out that little line. Okay, and then I've grabbed my E21 again, and I'm going to darken up this side of her face just a little bit more. So I'm just going to go down here, right along her cheek down to where her little chin is. And then I'm going to grab E00, and we're going to flick over the top of that color. So I've laid my pin down on my 21, and we're pulling it out here into my white space. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing over here. Go ahead and go right along that edge again and soften that little bit of a line that was still left. And I better go down here and do her neck one more time. And then I'm going to grab E000, and we're going to fill that last little bit in. And then I'm going to grab my R20, and I'm going to dab my cheeks just a little bit one more time. And rosy them up a little bit more. And then she's got some lips right here. I'm going to go ahead and color those with my R20. And then I'm going to take my E000 and go over those cheeks just a little bit. Give it one more quick coat. So for her hair, we're going to use E23, YR24, and Y32. And I'm going to start with my E23 first. And let's just go down here and start on this pigtail. So I'm going to add a few little flicks down here at the bottom of her pigtail. And I'm going to add just a few up here towards her face. And then I'm going to continue with the end of her hair right here. Add a couple of little flicks in there. Maybe get this little section. And here she's got this little one that kind of comes over like this. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit on there. And then at her part, we want to add some. And I try to keep my pen going in the direction that her hair is growing. So you don't want to be like going like this on her hair. You want it to go, your lines to go whatever direction the hair would be pulling. I love that the artist has put some great little lines in there for us already. We'll get a little bit back here. Her ear there. Let's get a couple right here where it comes out of her hair bow. I'll do that little top of her ponytail. Like that. And then I'm going to grab YR24. And we're going to add a little bit more. So I'm going to touch down on my 23 and flick a little bit of my wire. And there's just, I left just a little bit in there for my yellow. And I'll add some down here. Then I'm going to grab my Y32. I'm just going to flick right over the top of that and fill that in. Right here. And then I like to go back and add a few more darker streaks in. So I've grabbed my my E23 again. So I'm going to start up here at the crown, and I'm just going to flick in some strands of hair. I'll turn it just a little bit here. And I try to go past where I put my lines the last time. So I'm making a little bit longer. I'm going to go do the same thing on this side. And I'm holding my pen more straight up and down than I did the last time so that it makes the streaks a little bit skinnier. At least for me it does. Get a little ponytail. I think I'm going to add maybe a little bit right here, right this up right here, make sure little ponytail holder is. So next, let's go down here and do her pants. And for that, we're going to use E44, E43, and E42. And I'm going to start with my E44. So I'm going to work on this side of her pants first. So let's go ahead and do a little bit underneath of her shirt. And then we're going to go down this seam. That. And she's got this little wrinkle right here, so I'm going to go ahead and get that. And then she's got this little spot right here where her knee causes it to crease. I'm going to put a little bit right in there. Okay, then I'm going to grab 43, and I'm going to touch down on my 44, and I'm going to feather towards my white. So I'm brushing my pin on the 44 and pulling out towards my white area with the 43. And make sure to go over this little crease and add a little bit to this little dark spot right there. Then I'm going to grab 42. And again, you lay down on top of your 43 and pull out into your white. And I'm going to go over it a second time. Soften my lines up a little bit more. That looks pretty good. So now I'll grab my 44 again. And we're going to do the other leg. So I'm going to go right next to her top again. Add my shadow in there. And we're going to go down the back of her jeans. And get this little crease. And she's got a great indentation on this side, so I'm going to go ahead and get that. I think I'll actually bring this bottom one down here around to her foot. And then I'm going to grab 43. And the same thing, you're going to brush down on your 44 and pull it towards your white. Go over that a second time. A little bit of a line still there. So I'm going to work my way down here to the bottom of this one. And again, I'm going to go over it again. So I'm going to come back up here and feather right along the edge there. Make sure you get the middle. I'm going to get this. Maybe I'll add a little bit on this side of the jeans too. Then I'm going to grab 42. And I'm going to brush on my 43. And work that right out here into our white space. And go over it a second time. And fill that rest of that white in right there. So I'm going to start up here at the top and work my way around and soften that little line I've still got going. But because I left that little white space in the middle, it's still got a little white area, or a lighter color area right there. Gives a little shiny spot. So now let's go do her shirt. And for her shirt, we're going to use YR12 and Y21. So I'm going to start with my YR12. And let's do right up here. She's got a little space between her neck where you can kind of see the back of her shirt. So I'm going to give that a little dab there. And then I'm going to go right next to all these little flowers and leaves and draw a little line in. And let's do underneath of her chin. And then I'm going to grab Y21. And again, you lay down on top of your YR12 and brush out towards your white. And I already tell him I need to do it again, so I'm going to grab my YR12. Go right down along that line. And maybe pull it out just a little bit further this time. And I've got my Y21. I'm just just go right along that edge and soften that up. And I'm going to go down here into her skirt. So again, I've started with my wire 12, and let's go ahead and get her sleeve over here too. So let's go right underneath those flowers and along the back. And let's get this sleeve, as long as we're doing sleeves. And get the underside. Now let's start on her little bottom of her skirt of her shirt here. So she's got some great pleats, so I want to go ahead and fill those in. Give those a little bit of shadows. And here's one right here, and I'm going to pull that one up just a little, about twice as far as the actual line goes. And then I'm going to add some shadows up here underneath of my plants. And along her belt. And she's got some lines already there, so I'm going to go ahead and draw right on those to add a little bit of wrinkles in there. Oops, and I didn't go all the way around here. There. Alright, then I'm going to grab Y21. And we're going to brush over our sleeve. Brush over this sleeve. Go down here and feather over those lines and soften those. Right down here. And then I'm going to do the wire 12 again. So I'm going to go back in here and add my shadow back in some of these pleats. Darken those back up a little bit. And there's the underside of her shirt. I think I'll fill that in. And she's also got right here, it looks like it kind of swoops in right here. I'm going to add a little bit of my shadow right there and give that a little bit of definition where it looks like it kind of goes back down. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my Y21 again, and I'm going to go back over the whole thing. Let's brush over this one I just added. Brush over that one. And fix this one. And I added a little bit up here. I'm going to go overhead and go right back over that. Okay, and then I want to fill the whole thing in, so I'm just going to go right over the top of the whole thing. And just work it until I get it just the way I want. Okay, and I'm liking how that looks. That looks pretty good. So let's go up here now and do her belt and her hair bows. And for that, we're going to use R17 and R14. So let's start up here to her hair bow with R17. And I'm going to do the back side of this one. And then I'm going to put a little bit down here where it comes out of away from her hair. And same for this bottom one. And then this one will get right here in the crease and kind of pull up away from her hair. And this one looks like you can see the inside, so I'm going to fill in the inside. And then add a little bit, pulling away from the hair. And let's get this one where it was actually touching that other side. And then I'm going to grab R14. We're just going to brush right over the top of our edge and fill that in. Work our way down here. I don't use this pen very much, so it's very wet, so I'm just lightly using the end. Okay, let's do our belt too. And so I've grabbed my R17 again, and I want to make it darkest where it touches these flowers. So let's go ahead and add a little bit there. I'm going to add a little line on this side. And then I've got R14. I'm going to brush over the top of our edge. And just go in and pull that clear across the belt. I'm just going to brush clear across this red bow here and add a little bit like this. Okay, but I want that bow to be darker, so I'm going to actually color it with R17. So I'm going to dab right over the top of that color I just laid down and make it darker. That'll make it stand out away from the belt a little bit more. Now let's go work on our flowers, and for the centers we're going to use YR24 and Y21. So I'm going to start with my YR24, and I'm going to dab a little bit on my shadow on there. So I'm just going to add a little bit on the bottom of each one of these. Then I'm going to grab Y21. I'm just going to dab on the edge and fill it in. And then for the flowers, I'm going to use B63 and B60. So I've got my B63 first. You could also use your Zig Wink of Stella glitter pen if you bought the kit that came with it this time. It's just going to be really sparkly when you put it on, and dark. It's a lot darker than this pen. So I tried to pick a couple of colors that would still be purple but not quite so dark. And I'm just flicking away from the center of each of my flowers. And putting some shadow in there. And forget this one down here. I'll bring this side out just a little bit more. And then I'm going to fill it in with B60. I'm just lightly touching down on the edge of my 63 and pulling out to the very edge. I'm working my way around all the flowers. So that made those a pretty light bluish purple. So let's go do the stems now. So for that I'm going to use G94 and G82. So I'm going to start with my 94. And let's add, right here's a little bit of stem, so I'm going to cover that in because her hand, there's such a small little area there. And then the leaves already have some great little lines on it, so I'm just going to go ahead and add on top of the lines. And then we'll put a little bit of shadow underneath where her hand is. And same thing down here. And then these leaves have lines, so I'm just going to go ahead and draw right over the top of those. Get some of these. And that one. Oh, and let's get these stems a little bit. And then here's one that's back behind. Let's do that just a tad. And then I'm going to grab 82, and I'm just going to fill it in. I think I will actually go back and add a little bit more shadows on my leaves. So I'm going to go back with my 94 and put some of those lines back in just a little bit so you can see them a little bit better. Like that. So now let's go down here and do the grass. And for that, I'm going to use G40, G94, YG93, and G82. So I'm going to start with my G40, and I'm going to flick over the top of these cute little grass stems, and she's got some more over here, so let's go ahead and put some on that. And then I'm just going to take my pen, and I'm going to lay it down more sideways and brush away from her feet. I'm just letting the pen as far as my hand will carry it, and then I'm just lifting up. And then I'm going to grab 94. I'm going to add a few little stems in here on top of this grass. So I'm just letting my pen flick, kind of like a check mark, I guess. My hand automatically, if I'm doing a little check mark, it gets skinnier towards the top of my flicks. And then YG93, and same thing. I'm just going to add some more grass blades in here, sort of on top, a little bit to the side of each of my grass I already put down. And it's okay that you get some on her pants. Grass grows up, at least mine does, past my feet, unless I've just mowed it. And then I'm going to come in with my G82 to add a few of those. And you can add as many or as few as you would like. I got lots of grass on mine this time. So that is our alternate coloring for the May 2013 watercoloring card kit done with Copic markers. Whimsy stamp Fistful of Flowers. Almost forgot what it was called there. So thanks for joining me today, and if you want to see if this kit's still available, head over to the store, and there's a link down in the description box, and just type in the search bar Fistful of Flowers on the store, and it will pop up if it's still available. If not, check out this month's kit. Have a great day. Bye.